Welcome to the Wrealm Presents Championship Culture. I'm Brandon, the guy, and every belt has a story, so let's hit that story. Now, in this first episode, I want to go ahead and get straight to the point, just like our title card said, because oftentimes I'm asked, oh, which one is your favorite? You might think with over 100 plus belts, it's kind of hard to narrow down a favorite, but just like I said, every belt has a story, and let me tell you the story of this belt and why it is my favorite. So, the belt that is my favorite comes from a time when it had merged two different belts together. It was the first time that we actually identified a undisputed champion in WWE. Yes, Chris Jericho was the first ever undisputed champion, but when they merged the belts together, it came along with this one. This, to me, just screamed championship. So this is actually my favorite belt in my collection. Now, you might say, well, Brandon, it looks a little beat up. It looks a little bad. Yes, it's still on its original leather. It has the WWF logo. It is signed by Kurt Angle, which I think he was one of the biggest superstars to hold this belt that made me really pay attention to wrestling at that time. But let me tell you the story of this belt. So it was a Saturday. I'm at Joppa Flea Market in Joppa, Maryland, and it's basically just going there. I don't even remember what I was looking for, but I was just walking around. And one thing about this belt, it was laying on a table, kind of like this, and I could see just the bottom portion of it. So I asked the guy, I said, how much you want for that? Because I had a little sticker sticking out, and I'm thinking I can haggle them, I can talk them down. Because I saw two numbers, but I thought it was a third number attached to it. So I'm like, yeah, how much you want for it? He said, oh, give me $20. So my heart dropped a little because I'm thinking he's going to say 200 because the sticker was showing the 2 and the 0. So I said, wait a minute, what? So in the midst of me running through the flea market without trying to be obvious, I ran to the ATM machine. I put my PIN number in, got $40 out. I said, what if this man trying to say he wants double? So of course, when I'm coming back to the table where the guy is, and he's like, oh, I got a bag. And you know, the only reason I'm going so cheap with it because one of the posts are broken. So in my understanding, I'm getting a good deal out of the situation. I'm trying to put this inside of the bag, trying to cover it up. And of course, there's this nosy guy. Oh, what you got there? I'm like, back up. So I'm sitting here trying to put it in there and try to distract the guy from realizing that I'm actually getting this at a steal. I was like, oh, how much you want for that Wii Fit? He was like, oh, just give me $10. I was like, oh, let me grab some games too, because I'm trying to distract him while I'm trying to put this belt in before this guy tells him about it. And I'm like, let me hurry up. So I get it, and I dart out to my car. I made 2 phone calls that day, and one of them was to the brother Brian H. Waters, and I'm like, dude, you won't believe it. I just got undisputed belt. He's like, oh, wow, really? How'd you get that? And I'm sitting here telling him the story. He's like, there's no way you paid $20. But yes, this belt was $20, and it is literally one of the Figs Inc.'s version. So it didn't come directly from WWE, but it was one of the authorized dealers. And if you look closely at the belt, it's pretty flat without a curve. So doing some research, because I believe that it was version 1, but most belt collectors know, or most people, belt enthusiasts, I will call them, they know that version 1 didn't have this outline of black on it, nor did it have as much black paint in the in between the crevices things. So doing some more research, I realized it's a version 1, but it was an Ultra Deluxe by Fig Inc. So even though the WWE version was deluxe, version 1 didn't have the black paint. Version 2 had the black paint around it, but less black paint around the wings and the floor pattern and things like that. So this is a version 1 belt. It is a little smaller and it's not as thick. It's about 2 millimeters in thickness. It doesn't have a curve, and I know one of the big things about version 2 is that it had a curve, and it does have the WWE Championship stamp on there. And as you'll see in a few minutes, I'll go through some pictures and you'll see the plating is still in good condition, still has its original stones. I know a lot of people like restoning, but for like 8 to 10 stones, I didn't feel the need to restone it. I wanted to keep it in its original leather because it's special to me. It's a $20 belt that I probably should have paid $200, if not more, for it. I don't know if the guy understood what he had, but just because one little piece is missing, that doesn't constitute a $180 discount. But who am I to say anything? I got it at a deal. It's a great grab. It's one of my favorite belts. Even though the leather is a little worn out, I'm still debating, and I don't think I'm ever going to do it, get it re-leathered, because I want to keep it in its original form, especially since Kurt Angle signed it. Now, when you look at this belt, you think of Triple H, The Rock, Brock Lesnar, Undertaker, Hulk Hogan, Big Show even, and this belt had a small time frame that was on TV, but I feel like it was impactful. Yes, we can talk about the size changing. It went version 1, 2, 3, 4. All of that being said, it still feels like a world title to me. And when I say a world title, when I saw this, I'm like, wow, that's a big jump. Because it still said champion at the base. Just like the other ones, like the Wing Eagle and the Big Eagle. Still had the champion. Still had the globe front and center. And still had the eagle at the top. And I just thought that the side portions of it just made it stick out more. And because it wasn't an oval shape, and it was actually pretty decent because it drew your eye right to the center. It drew your eye to a world champion. So it just stuck out to me the most. And when having the opportunity to have Kurt Angle sign it, the only other person I would want to sign it would be like a Brock Lesnar, The Rock, Undertaker, somebody actually held it. Because one of the things I'm doing now, I'm going after a lot of signatures. But I want to do signatures based upon the wrestler signing the belt. That was an important part of history. So hopefully you enjoyed this story, because that's this story of this belt. Now stay tuned. I'm going to let you take a couple more in-depth pictures and a look at this belt. All right, there you have it. There's this belt story, and it answers the question, which one is your favorite? I appreciate you taking time listening to Championship Culture, where we talk about belts. Until next time, just remember, every belt has a story. Can't wait to hear yours.